which story should we tell?
Okay.
Okay? And when you say about which story should we tell, we have to look, is it the story of the contemporary? And if it's the story of contemporary, we have to question, what is this contemporary about? Is it embodying the African values, for example? Is it embodying the Kenyan values? Should we tell the Kenyan story the way it is, or the way we see it as a society? Or should we create ours? My name is Kwach Abonyo. I'm a writer. I'm here again.
Welcome back again to Conversations in Literature. I am your host, Eric Rogara, also known as Miyamoto Mswahili. I am joined today by a guest who has been here before. His name is Kwach Abonyo, the philosopher. So Kwach Abonyo was here last year, and now he is returning, not the same way he was when he was here. He returns as a conquering hero in the field of philosophy, having since been published in some publications internationally on philosophy. So his credentials as a philosopher are, do you say bona fide? are set in stone right now.
Yeah.
So we bring him back to talk not on philosophy specifically, but on African literature, specifically what he thinks about contemporary African literature in comparison to the older African literature from the 60s, 70s, and so on. And this conversation is necessitated after an article he wrote recently, where he states that contemporary African fiction is hybrid in the sense that it has exported modes of thought from the West mainly, maybe also from the East, but mainly from the West. So due to these imported modes of thought, Kwach feels that contemporary African literature is not African enough. Have I put it?
Well, I don't. Yeah, you're right until the point you're saying it is not African enough. I think you wanted to say that. No. I think they're African enough. Yeah. They're African enough. So, yeah.
I feel like you're backtracking now that we're on camera.
Yeah, is only that they are my article was trying to suggest that the former model of writing back in 60s and just post-independence, we have slightly departed from that. And now we are trying to hybridize the African, the literature is now trying to not look more inward, but outward. But be that as it may, we still have to say it is still African. And that one has, we have to accept that the world is changing and everything is changing. Not only even in Africa, even the Western literature, European literature itself, is also not what it used to be before. Yes.
This is not what you told me before. Because if this is what you are saying,
yeah.
what need is a conversation. Yes. If what you are saying, if indeed there's nothing wrong with it.
I'm not saying nothing wrong.
Oh, there is something wrong.
There is something wrong.
Okay, define what is wrong.
Okay, when I say something is wrong, I'm saying that by hybridizing African literature, we are actually losing the very fundamental aspects of what defines us as Africa. Because by hybridizing, we are trying to move or bring in some modalities that are not what used to define us. Some epistemologies, for example, that used not to define us back then. For example, the mode of African literature used to be seen through, oral tradition, what the scholars call orature, and then it also used to encompass things like expressive gestures like singing, dancing, griot, and dirges, such things. And I think there was a form of authenticity in it, and it was more inward looking. But now by going outward, bringing in some themes, this one has kind of flattened the nature of the literature that we used to have then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the literature is flattened.
Yeah, I feel like literature is flattened, and productively so, because there are some reasons, of course, we have to point out. I feel like, the world is becoming more global.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we are trying or tending to change towards that. And in changing that, we are losing the fundamental, aspect of what we used to define as literature. Yeah.
All right. Yet I would think that it is flatter when you say that African literature should be one thing. That sounds flatter compared to when you say when African literature is free to pick and choose from a variety of traditions, which then makes it more, that hybridity that you're talking about becomes more colorful.
Well, the colorful.
So how would that now be flatter? Yet when it is just one idea, it sounds like that is what is flatter.
I think the one idea actually, I think that makes it a little fertile, and it gives the weight of the uniqueness. But I think hybridity exposes it and give it a larger audience. So these are two different things. Okay, we either choose to define something that is exclusively ours, and you stick to what define the epistemologies of Africa, or go outside there and borrow other ideas and bring it in. And by borrowing ideas, hybridizing it, I believe it flattens other things, other aspects. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the question is it really borrowing ideas when those ideas are already here with us? They are already our reality.
I think the word our reality is questionable.
Okay. Define some of these ideas for the audience. These ideas that we are borrowing. Some examples.
Okay, I think
with examples of books.
For example, yeah.
You can also take my book as an example. If
you read my article, I think I was discussing Peter Ngeller's book, The Legend of Beach House, which is award-winning. Congratulations to him. And I was using it to explore what I feel as the cosmopolitan turn of the Kenyan literature, in which I feel like he has gone out of the path that we have trodden before. As we have been used to, as writers since independence, up to this very moment, and is bringing in Western ideas into his book, on into his themes. Themes have been hybridized, and this kind of flattens the.
Give us an example of this.
For example, in Giller's work, he speaks majorly about the Platonic dualism, which I think I discussed there.
You can tell us on the show. What is Platonic dualism? You have to explain some of these concepts.
Ngila tries to explain Platonic dualism about the idea that we that the forms we are just embodying, the body is just a form of something that is higher. Like the soul is, we have our souls within us as human that is separable from the body, and the soul is eternal, never dies, and it can come back to live. It is something that can come back to life, and it can be, it can be engineered to different forms, come back to life, and bring in. And while the body can be, the body is just a vessel that carries that soul. So it is this idea that he uses, he stages his books in. And I think I gave you an example as well on most of your stories, your short story collection, when I think you bring in a theme that is predominantly, I feel, predominantly Western. Surrealism, as we know it, it might be something universal, but the theme itself and the nature of the story is something that is quite very foreign to us, okay? Because going by the works that we have explored, we have never explored such themes in our literary work, or we have never seen them in most of the work, most of the African authors.
That would suggest that the African authors that existed before were not being true to what Africa actually is. If you read, for instance, Ngugi's later works like Wizard of the Crow, he will use magical realism. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you think about, when you ask an African, do you believe in witchcraft? Do Africans believe in witchcraft? No. We don't believe in witchcraft. It is not something to believe in. It is something that exists. You know what I mean?
I understand.
So, what Peter did in the book to bring in that aspect of magical realism, I know how he did it is Western, perhaps, because of the idea of plateaus, Atlantis, and so on. But the concept itself, the concept of worlds and other worlds, this is a concept that exists in Africa. This is a concept that exists when we talk about the world of the dead, the world of the living. Having parallel worlds, this is something that exists in African folktales. So I have always thought that the reason the original writers didn't use that, didn't bring in those concepts, is because they were writing in English. Since they were writing in English, they were not able to properly inhabit the culture of the folktale, of the oral. Because when you look at Ngugi wa Thiong'o, after he starts writing in Gikuyu, his work immediately starts having aspects of magical realism, devil on the cross. If you look at the work he wrote when he was writing in English, it was all very realistic, colonialism and so on. But the moment he starts writing in Gikuyu, his work starts being more African in the sense that it has aspects of magical realism. So when you think about all the great magical realist writers, they are not from the West. They are from countries in South America. They are from Asia. They are from countries that were colonized. So magical realism has been used actually as a tool for, what do you call it, anti-colonialism. So when that's a discussion used when people are talking about the works of Gabriela Marquez, it is something I have seen that magical realism is used in his work as a tool, in a sense, as a political tool. You look at in Japan, where magical realism is also used a lot, they are writing in Japanese. So when you say that it is not African, I wonder, because our folktales are frequently.
I think we have to.
Yes. So now we have to actually, we have to actually talk about you say surrealism or magical realism, you cannot say the genre itself is not African. So we have to remove that out of the way. So when we remove the genre out of the way, we now can discuss the ideas, the specific ideas that are not African. Because the genre is clearly not only African, it is, what do you call, indigenous. So every indigenous society, including Western indigenous societies, when you go to their fairy tales, their fairy tales, every folk tale in the world,
what was the distinction between magical realism and folk tales? You know.
Well, you see, that's the thing. Magical realism is a concept that exists in many folk tales, in many fairy tales. It is a concept that weaves the reality we see with a reality we imagine. So it is a concept which tries to educate people by bringing ideas in the form of things that we don't see. So it creates hyperbole. So for instance, in Africa, when they wanted to talk about bad men, about, like, let's say we want to tell a story about politicians, they won't talk about the bad leaders. They will talk about ogres, giants that are eating people, that are eating the society. These are the politicians today. These are the leaders who eat the people. And in those stories, there would usually be a hero. Somebody would come and kill the giant. And then they slash the giant's stomach, and all the people who are eaten walk out of the stomach, which then restores harmony to the community. So today that is magical realism, where things that are not real are existing with things that are real.
Okay, I think my understanding of magical realism is that we treat this aspect of fairy tales as normal, day-to-day or matter-of-fact activities, and I think that's what brings the distinction. Because yes, Africa has had.
In folktales, it was treated as normal. If you read those folktales, let me give you one from my community. There was a lady who was living with an ogre, because her husband, who was he was a muturi. In Kikuyu, what is that? He was a blacksmith. So he was a blacksmith, he'd gone away. And muturi comes back as I'm mentioning the muturi. So he was a muturi, a blacksmith. So the blacksmith had gone away to work. While he was away, his wife was pregnant with his child. And then when he was away, an ogre came and started living with the woman. Yeah? Under duress. So then at that point, there was a small bird. In the language, it's called the bird of the outdoor. Kanyoni kaja. So the bird came and started living and would sing while the woman is cleaning. So the woman was feeding this bird, and then she asked it to go and take a message to her husband. So then when the husband is in that faraway land, the bird flies all the way to that land, and while he is working with his fellows, the bird comes and starts singing. There's a lot of singing in Africa, African folktales. So he sings, Muturio go to rai sha jera rai sha. Muturio go to rai sha jera rai sha. So it sings, and the translation is Muturio go to rai. So to rai is to do the blacksmithing. So blacksmith, where you're doing your blacksmithing, and then Shajara Raisha, that doesn't, it's onomatopoeia. I don't think it means anything. And then it tells him, your wife has a child. An ogre comes to her, and it makes, she has to cook for it, and the ogre is eating her food. And so any food that she's supposed to eat, the ogre would give her, here, take some food, and then when she's about to eat it, it eats it. So you see, anyway, my point was, in this story, we are clearly taking it for granted that it is ordinary that a bird can speak to a human. and a human will actually see the bird speaking to him and not freak out. This is magical realism, is it not?
Well, that's magical realism. If told in a story, in a matter of fact tone, yes.
That is how it was told.
Yeah.
It was not
In
told
a matter of fact.
It was not told as those stories. You have listened to folktales.
Yeah,
yes.
listen,
And you have read them.
we have
They are not-
we have the fairy tales,
Yes.
folk tales.
They are
Even
not-
in lower community.
They are not.
There is,
Yes.
there is
Are
one,
they told not in a matter of fact tone?
there is one.
Yes.
Now I don't know, because there's also myths here. There's folk tales. There are also, yeah. So
all those myths and folktales, do they not have aspects of supernatural things which are taken for granted as matter of fact that these things exist? That it is not something where people are saying, wow, what is happening here? They are matter of fact, are they not?
they're matter of fact, because what I'm trying to,
Having gotten that out of the way, because we need to get that out of the way.
yeah.
So now we need to discuss what ideas specifically are foreign. Not the genre, but the ideas in the stories. So now, like when you talked about Platonic dualism, so these are an idea. These are modes of thought. So the way the story is told, the genre is clearly, actually, more indigenous to indigenous cultures than it is to Western, society. It is there in Japan. It is there in Africa, in our folktales. It is there in Asia. It is there in the Caribbean islands. It is there in Latin America, where actually magical realism has really thrived. So then, my question is, what ideas in the stories that are being told, not just Gilas, but you also mentioned Yvonne Adhiambo Wolves, right?
Yeah.
So what ideas in Dust or Dragonfly Sea did you feel were not African, that they were exported, that they are hybrid?
I think the hybridity I'm talking about is more about the formal hybridity, and let me just say maybe linguistic hybridity, where in formal I mean the novel form, for example, that since the mode of writing were introduced to Africa, we have not explored that deeply into these forms, this thematic, and
so you're talking about the form, the novel form.
The novel form, for example, written. These things were, if there was a form,
if that is your argument,
yeah.
Then isn't what Chinua Achebe, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Wole Soyinka, they were also using this form?
Forms like
the novel, yeah. They were using the
themes. The themes are what I'm talking about. Bringing in, because
these themes are now what I want you to bring out specifically.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, what the story that was told, and actually, when we are talking about African literature, it is very broad, and it is quite very hard to define it in the first place, because we don't know which Africa we are talking about to begin with.
Okay, let's say we are talking about Anglophone Africa.
Anglophone Africa, which that means that I think we are talking about the post-colonial Africa, okay? Yeah. So that in that case, when we talk about the literature, we have to bring in the forms of the written work.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Then that one takes away all other, other dimension in which.
Okay.
Africa.
Which Africa did you mean when you were talking about in your article? What did you mean?
What we are discussing, what we are now.
Which is when you say
the novel form.
In the article, you talked about
the post-colonial Africa.
Post-colonial Africa. So in post-colonial Africa, you felt that the first books were more African. Yet it was still post-colonial. Therefore,
I don't like the term more African.
Okay,
I'm saying
which
we have diverted from what we have been doing. Okay,
what have you been doing?
I've not. You read my article. Actually, I've said
yes.
I didn't say that these books or the mode of writing we are trying to slant towards is less African, while the other one was more African.
You say it has more imported.
Is what? Yeah.
Ideas.
It is hybridizing.
But you see,
for example,
the reason I don't understand this, and I really want you to clarify,
is
because at that onset of after colonialism, the novel form, first of all, the novel is already a Western form. Ngugi wa Thiong'o writing Grain of Wheat, inspired by Joseph Conrad's On the Western Eyes, something like that. Grain of Wheat is inspired by a Western book. The themes in Grain of Wheat are inspired by a book by Joseph Conrad.
Yeah, you see, I understand. You see,
so Ngugi wa Thiong'o has already imported, but you tell us that Ngugi wa Thiong'o is who we should be looking at in his first books. Then in his later books, Ngugi wa Thiong'o is inspired by Karl Marx, Marxism, right? Another imported idea from Germany, from Europe. So at which point are we actually... So are you... the books you are telling us to look at are also having imported ideas, just that they have maybe less. It is a degree.
I think in what way were the books, were they looking inward or outward? That's the question. You see, when we talk about, for example, the Ngugi's early writing, these books were more inward in the sense that the focus was on, realistic literature, on the lived realities of the time, the colonialism and, the post-colonial and the neocolonialism that arose after independence and all that. And it was more of protest literature, if you ask me, okay? And then...
what about Dust? It is also about the same realities, post-colonial realities, also about politics, it's also about Mau Mau, it's about 2007, it's about Kenya.
Well...
in your article, you used it as an example of hybridity.
I talk about the hybridity in which now it explores this idea and relates with it.
So break down for me the difference between Dust and Ngugi wa Thiong'o's work, in which now Ngugi wa Thiong'o's work is more inward looking, and how Dust is outward looking.
Now let me ask you first, if in the early period of just after the independence, or just say from Achebe and Ngugi's, the like of Ngugi to this very moment, if you look keenly on yourself, what do you feel was the work embodying then?
You see, the work was broad.
It's broad, yes.
Because when you tell me about Achebe, Achebe has multiple books. There are books that he's writing about. There are books that he's writing about pre-colonial.
Yeah. Tell me, for example,
there are books he's writing about post-colonial.
If you check Achebe's book, if you check Achebe's From Things Fall Apart to The Anthem of the Savannah, these books were in most ways centered on the African lived realities. Okay? You will rarely see, for example, Achebe's book, where he might have imported these modes, for example, when you talk about the resistance. But I think this one is more critic than, like, for example, in Ngugi's book, you can say there are more, I think that one saying that they are more, what do we say, Marxist, is probably from a critic point of view, okay? Somebody might say that they explore the lived reality and they are protester writing. And somebody might say also, another one might say that they are Marxist kind of way, in their themes and all that. But if you look at this book, mostly Achebe centers the story on the tension between the colonial and the post-colonial the colonial and the pre-colonial Africa, and just the coming of the missionaries in the Things Fall Apart. Then the later books comes now in the post-colonial and the just emerging African nations then at the time. Then later on the books are centered on now the post-colonial Africa, the corruption of the time, the leadership and the politics of the Africa of the time. You see such things. Now when I talk about hybridity, there is how the literary landscape especially here in Kenya, or from the books I've read, I feel they are turning more outward. Outward means that they are leaving the inward looking, okay? For example, when Ngila brings in the aspect of the Platonic dualism, for example, in this sense, and centers the story on the Plato's idea of parallel world, you see the story is actually the idea of Kenya itself and even Nairobi city is so minimal, like it becomes like a setting. The story is set in Kawa West, you see, but the theme itself is discussing Platonic dualism. The theme itself is discussing the Plato's idea of parallel world, okay? And that.
But you know, Ngila is an outlier.
Yeah? Yeah, I understand.
That's why I've asked you.
And I really.
That's why I've asked you about Dust by Yvonne Award,
yeah.
which you mentioned in your review.
Like, look, for example, Nani, Yvonne's Dragonfly Sea,
Okay.
even if we leave Dust, okay?
Okay.
And if you look, for example, Yvonne's Dragonfly Sea, yes, the kind of hybridity that I explained in Dust is just to support the idea that a Dragonfly Seas and both Dust. It's just to support the idea that we are beginning to look outward.
Could you unpack Dragonfly Sea
for example, the Ayana now having the ancestry in Chinese, set there, and then finding the ancestry and unpacking the Indian Ocean trade of the time. You see, there is how the book is set in Kenya, but it gives us that the setting is hybridized in that sense.
So it's not about them, it's about setting. Because in Ngila's book, the book is set
the hybridity can be in many forms, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, hybridity can be in many forms. One of them is also setting.
Okay.
Like the way I discussed in also Chimamanda's book, if you see, the Americana, okay?
Right.
Yeah, so I think these all.
So is it more them or setting?
All. Hybrid, yeah.
Because when you say, Ngila's book is set in Kawa West, but you say the theme is not conducive to Kawa West.
I've not said it's not conducive.
It is not. That's what you mean. It is not.
I mean,
it is not.
The setting.
It is not belonging to this setting.
Yeah, no.
That's what you mean, right?
No, the setting is Nairobi. Okay.
It's Kawa West in Nairobi.
Yeah, Kawa West in Nairobi. You see. But Nairobi, the ideas of Nairobi are brought, minimally, like they are not explored deeper.
What are the ideas of Nairobi?
For example, when we talk about an event happening in Nairobi, you know the cultures of the cities of Nairobi, Matatu cultures, the daily lives of the people here, okay? And then the theme is centered, which I think I have no problem with. Actually, it is not a very bad critic. It was actually a very positive comment.
Because in my thinking,
yeah,
if the setting is here, then any theme that is in that book is filtered through the setting. If the setting is here, the characters are like that book by Peter. The setting is Kawa West. The characters are Kenyan in their thinking, and the themes now, other than the grand theme of the narrative, the themes are things that I also feel are uniquely, here. So they, like for instance, the story of religion, which was very big in that book. Religion. There's that question of how true is Christianity, how true is
the question I'm trying, and that one I wanted even to ask Ngila himself, because when you bring in the idea of Platonic dualism, for example, you see this how this one clashes with the African concept of personhood, and these are some.
Can you describe for us how Platonic dualism, defining it for us again, clashes with African concept of personhood?
Well, Ngila put it in such a way that, as the body, by fostering Platonic dualism, the body is nothing, and it's just a property, something that can be, thrown as a vessel. It's just a vessel that can be thrown and discarded without any clear repercussion. But then I think for most people who have explored the African personhood, and I think you will agree with me, and I'm saying this with a cautionary tone because I know the term Africa is broad, even Kenya itself. We have, mostly what I see even in lower community, a body is something that is special. Yeah, it's separate from the soul, yes, or from the eternal form. But the idea of a body being discarded and being useless is foreign, you know, to us. So this tension is some of the things that I was trying to explore. While so my idea was, when you bring in the Platonic dualism, are you taking into notice that there is how it clashes with the, for example, the idea of African personhood, on how we view, for example, the body? Like, is there some Africanness in it, you know? Yeah, I don't have problem with you going broader outside me to explore the, you know, for example, the themes of surrealism and all that. But there is how you can put it in such a way it embodies, or it there's how, you know, it touches, even if just subtly, the African, some of the African concepts and the, you know, epistemologies and metaphysics that, yeah. So this is one of the things that I was trying to look into. Yeah, so it's not about, it can't be the themes, but the themes are very critical because the moment you use, let me say, foreign ideas or just these non-European ideas and bring it here, we have to critically look into how they fit into our own. Themes can be universal, but there's always that distinction as well. Okay?
All right. Can you unpack for us the ways in which the works that you feel were fitting? I don't know the language to use, but let's say the ones that are on your good books. I don't know how to put the language. So those works, can you unpack for us what they were doing right with specific examples?
Actually, I think we haven't looked outward enough. And that is, if you are very keen enough, the article was actually a call for action that we should start looking outward, which I think is actually coming in.
You say we shouldn't look outward, or we should look.
We should look outward.
We should look outward.
Yeah, we should look outward, but
not inward.
You know, being outward means you are already in.
But your critique is about looking outward.
It's the critique is not. You know, literally critic is not...
no, yeah, I know. Yeah. Your critique here was about these works are looking too much outward.
Which I think I didn't mention is something bad. But I think we have to have caution.
But now you're telling me we should look more outward.
We should look outward. We are looking outward, actually. The literary landscape, the African literary landscape is actually looking outward, which is something I'm seeing, a trend that is coming.
So should we continue looking outward?
I'm not saying,
or should we look more inward?
We shouldn't stop.
What should we do?
We hybridize the African.
But your critique was on hybridizing.
But critique is not bad. You do?
No.
Do you know the definition of a critic?
No, your critique, and here I mean critique in the sense of you were not exactly satisfied with the hybridity. Your preference was in the
Eric, I want you to go read my article again. I want you to go read my article again. What I pointed out in my article was looking at Ngila's lens through a critic, Ngila's book through a critic lens. And I said and I suggested the book is taking a cosmopolitan turn. Like I used the book to explain how the Kenyan literature is taking a cosmopolitan turn. I didn't think I criticized that.
No, we also had a conversation after that.
The only thing I criticized was the idea in which this cosmopolitan turn was taking. You see, for example, what I criticized in Gila's work was his idea of what? Platonic dualism, even Cartesian mind-body dualism, and how it differs with the concept of the African personhood, that most of them that we know. But I think I pointed using the book that we are looking outward. The African literature is turning outward, okay? Which is something good. Because literally, I think, not only Africa, most of the literary works actually are beginning to hybridize. Everywhere, even in European literature, you see, yeah.
All right. So what do you advise?
Just the same thing I've said. In as much as we are trying to look outside, we must also, do not flatten the African, epistemologies. And
so there is something you're criticizing, which is what I want you to be clear on what you are criticizing, because if you are not clear on what you are criticizing,
I think
we can't be clear on what we are correcting.
I think what I'm trying to say is that we have to really be clear on how we look outward.
How should we look outward?
You see?
This is what I want you to tell us. How should we look outward, and how should we not look outward?
In as much as we are looking outward, we should take the ideas, those, cosmopolitan ideas, Africanize them, okay? To fit our narrative. You understand? That's how we Africanize them, to fit our narrative.
How do you do that?
I gave an example there with the Chimamanda's book, Americana, where she uses, taking the journal, if Emily is writing a journal to criticize the Western, the racism there, they're still rooting it also in the Nigerian, lifestyle and Nigerian soil. Another one was Dragonfly Sea by Nani, Ivona Diabo.
Which in this conversation you were earlier criticizing the same thing. I think
your idea of criticizing.
No, you were criticizing.
I think your idea of criticizing is I think what you mean by criticizing.
You're changing a lot. Once you've come on the hotspot.
No. Dragonfly Sea. Dragonfly Sea.
Yes.
Towards the end of my article, I mentioned these things actually honorably.
I've opened the article. Okay.
And which I said, can you read that part? I said, they are looking outward. Can you read that part?
Okay, continue.
Yeah. They have managed to embed their story within the African structural realities, while also looking outside.
So let's see what you say. You say, I am not, to set the record straight, trying to condemn writers like Ngila. Rather, I acknowledge their strategic navigation of these tensions. I understand and admire them for reclaiming global traditions to enrich local expression, fostering new global thinking without outright betrayal. In the coming years, their cosmopolitan orientation may well position them as world writers, as it equips their work with the translatability and imaginative breadth that resonates across borders. Cosmopolitanism, I believe, has become the prerequisite for entry into world literature because it enables texts to proactively stage intercultural encounters, transcending the particular without erasing it. This moment differs from that of the earlier generation of African writers, such as Chinua Achebe and Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Their prominence emerged partly from the historical context of decolonization and the West's curiosity about emerging African voices. Achebe's Things Fall Apart and Ngugi's A Grain of Wheat, for example, rose because they were among the first to articulate anti-colonial narratives in accessible English, filling a literary vacuum amid global interest in the new post-colonial world. Their particularism, Igbo cultures in Achebe, Gikuyu/Mau Mau resistance in Ngugi, gained traction as ethnographic testimony, leveraging colonial era advantages like education access and publishing networks. Today, however, the marketplace demands more. Cosmopolitanism convinces works to join the Republic of Letters because it allows African texts to converse universally, addressing shared human concerns like soul migration and identity without being confined to African slots. Both Yvonne Adhiambo War's Dust and Dragonfly Sea and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Americana serve as illustrative case studies. Owuor cosmopolitanizes Kenya's 2008 election violence through a family's fragmented collections in dust, blending Luo traditions with motifs of exile and global reconciliation. She pushes this even further in the Dragonfly Sea, granting her protagonist Ayana Perso-Chinese ancestry and shaping her life around the historical networks of the Indian Ocean trade, all while keeping the narrative firmly rooted in Kenya. Similarly, Adichie, through Ifemelu's blog, combines intimate reflections on Nigerian life with incisive, often humorous observations of American society, creating a narrative that bridges personal experience and global critique. This outward-looking cosmopolitan approach allowed both novels to enter major international conversations about identity, migration, and belonging. Unlike Chinua Achebe and Ngoge, whose global recognition arose in part from the novelty of decolonization, Owuor and Adichie achieved prominence through deliberate hybridity. Still, the future promises much to watch. Kenyan and African texts more broadly stand at an interesting threshold, adapting with remarkable speed to a world that changes faster than we can name it. I think I've missed something.
Do you understand why I criticize?
Let me see.
The part where I criticize Ngila
This is a part.
is concept of personhood. But I don't think I criticize the only thing about cosmopolitan that I think I've said, cosmopolitan is good. And what I was trying to...
this is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
You know, you have a... In this article, you're very cunning.
How?
There is your critique, as in criticize, which is there, definitely, and which you want to say. But you have buried it in an excess of praise.
No, I think I was very clear in the article.
No. You are very strategic. So I almost lost it. Here it is. It is hidden, but it is there. So you say, but this shift, to be honest. Ukisikia mtu anakuambia to be honest, hapa ndipo anakuambia ukweli. You're laughing because you know it's true. Okay. Nimeipoteza. Where is it? But this was a very good, it was a very rich article. It was very rich. So, I keep losing it. The title of the article is Syncretism and Philosophical Hybridity in Pitangila's The Legend of Beach House, the Cosmopolitan Turn in Kenyan Literature. All right. So when did you start observing this trend as I look for?
I think this one is something that we have been seeing more with the current literary a trend and the books that are coming out there. But I think it is more of shaped by, I think, how the world is changing, and also the idea of the African itself, how the African shifting, because you know, there's that aspect of what we call the Afrofuturism. I think if you know that, I've been furthered by many scholars as the way African is trying to blend the traditional with the science. Okay, that there's how we can bring the traditional to blend with the science and modernity. Okay, the technological advances that are coming out. But then there's also the idea of the African Afropolitanism also, where we see African is becoming more of
Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, cosmopolitan. Okay, people are getting access to information and all that, and the social media. So things are, you know, we are getting information not only about Africa but even about the world. So they literally, and this also comes with the aspect of also selling and also visibility of the book. The writing is trying to find a medium that can satisfy, you know, both the readers, the market. There's the African reader who will be obviously be satisfied by what he feels is his, okay? But then there's also the somebody, a reader maybe from Japan, who needs something that, you know, he feels he or she can relate.
So cosmopolitanism is about accessibility of the work to the outside.
To the outside. But I think, and if you read there, and what you wanted to read, let me just maybe tell it. The cosmopolitanism, I feel, and as I mentioned before, tend to flatten. This is how it kills, you know, the traditional. I don't like the term traditional.
But now I'm starting to get you. So now if we say the cosmopolitanism is defined by who is the perceived audience.
I think so, yeah. True.
So if your audience is the people around you, there are things you will not put in it. But if the audience is global, there is a hybridity that will have to come into it.
Yeah, they have the ability to come into it. Because, for example, nowadays, we have novels, African novel that speaks about, for example, the matter of the politics of identity, for example, you know, the LGBTQ. There are novels that speak about the you know, the world issues, like, you know, the climate change, you know, such
These stuff. Are actually our realities now.
These are our realities now.
They are our realities. You can't call it cosmopolitan in that sense, because we have these issues now in our society.
It is cosmopolitan in the sense that it is not only an African reality. It is a reality in Europe. It is a reality in...
But in that sense, if you say that, is death cosmopolitan? So is death a cosmopolitan reality? Is sickness a cosmopolitan reality? Is marriage a cosmopolitan reality? These are human experiences. They are universal.
No, these are human experiences.
They are therefore universal, not cosmopolitan.
The cosmopolitan is the idea of making that book accessible to these people. And for them to be accessible, it needs a universal language.
But you cannot bring climate change as cosmopolitan, considering that we are dealing, our farmers here are dealing with those effects of climate change.
It's a factor that brings cosmopolitanism. It's one thing that binds the globe together.
Let me ask you, if you write about climate change here, you think a farmer in somewhere in this place they plant potatoes, that they won't understand what the story is about?
They will understand.
Exactly. Not because it's cosmopolitan, not because they are cosmopolitan, not because they are exposed to the internet, but because those are the realities they are dealing with.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yes, yes.
Cosmopolitan, the sense that you are talking about something that is accessible to the larger audience. Make your work cosmopolitan. You see? Okay. Yeah, and also,
but
if you access work that are not, you know, exclusively ours or you know, strictly or specifically ours, but you try to explore work that is foreign, you see, that has never, is not used.
I still want you to explain things that are cosmopolitan.
Justly, for example, I talk about the theme of surrealism. Right. To be honest, you might say there are some surrealistic elements in the works that have been written before, even by Ngugis and even magical realism. But we have to be very.
Although surrealism is not a theme, it's a form.
It's a form.
The themes in the book are local.
So you see, if you talk, for example, the theme of magical realism, a form. Okay, whatever you call it. I think the nature with which you, for example, Rugara brings in the form of surrealism in the book is different from how, you know, somebody else, or those writers you are mentioning, like Ngogi, bring them. Because yours is very raw and direct, you see? And I think it picks up forms that we have never seen before. You see? Yeah. If we talk about, for example, Ngugi's Wizard on the Crow, you know, touching on the themes of magical realism. The magical realism for me, will come out as a literary critic. Somebody will look in deeper into the book and extract it. Okay, it is just like an exclusively something inserted there, but it is not as raw and barely put the way Ngilas bring his in the Legend of Beach House.
I posit that even in Ngilas and even in mine, there is something you're supposed to do. In Ngilas' work, the magical realism is mainly about religion. That book is about religion.
That's how you
Ngilas' book and most of his work is about Christianity. Is about religion. That book is about religion. So it's the whole idea of, think about it. In this world of Ngila, there is a being that is controlling what people do. So this is the whole idea of determinism. Is there free will? These are questions of religion. Do we have free will, or is there a God who has set everything for us to do? And you can see even a lot of the story is set in a seminary, or what do you call it? Is it a seminary or a school, for orphans?
Yeah.
And some of the main characters are sisters and brothers, like nuns. There's a nun, there's a brother, or is it a brother or a father? Yes?
Yeah, I see.
So religion is the main idea in that book. So when you think about it, this book is mainly about the question of free will. Do we have free will? That is basically what that's the literary thing.
That's how you look.
No. It is how it is.
No,
I have interviewed the writer on this book, on this show. On this show.
Well,
yes.
Leave it to critics. Critics will also see it another way.
But that's how it's supposed to be, in the sense of, you said when you read Ngoge, there's that way you are reading it. But we could also say that's your critique.
Of course.
But based on Ngoge's other work, you are more confident, right? In making that assumption, right? That it is about colonization, it's about power, it's about politics. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you can make that critique.
Yeah.
The same way I have read Ngoge's work, Ngila's work. I have read his short stories. I have read one of his unpublished manuscripts. And one thing I realized, in Ngila's work, religion or Christianity is a recurring theme. It's a recurring theme. And the concept of a narrator who is not in the story, but is observing the story. And could also be influencing the story. So this is what we have in the Legend of Beach House. It's a narrator who is controlling the story. Which is, I believe, the supreme version of what his work has been building up to. All the work I've been seeing from him. Like, it's been building up to this, where now the story is totally in the hands of a narrator. Which now led me to asking myself, is there free will in this story, in the world of the Legend of Beach House? Is there free will, or is everything controlled by the Angel of Dreams? The other thing was, so that's it. So in my work as well, let me give you an example. I have a story called Adultery, right? So you say it is raw. But if you think about it happens in this story that there is a dream that happens between two people. So they have a shared dream, and out of that shared dream, there's coitus in the shared dream, and then in the reality, in the real world, the woman gets pregnant, right? So this story is titled Adultery. So this surrealism that I've used in that story is supposed to be like a metaphor of how adultery works. So what I was trying to say with this story by having the affair happen in a dream, what I was saying is that when people are having an affair, they are having a fantasy. They are escaping from the real life. They are escaping from the real life and its expectations, its responsibilities, and who they are supposed to be. And they escape together into a fantasy, which is a dream. But the dream always has consequences because it's not a dream, it's real life. So you see, that was my message in that story. Yeah, it is not just surrealism for the sake of it. There is a literary thing you're supposed to infer from it.
Do you think surrealism, for example, has to have something in it, right?
In my case, yes.
Yeah.
It always it has to make sense for me. And I believe, I don't know for Ngila,
yeah,
but for me it has to make sense. Like it has to be, for every story I write, there has to be something I'm saying.
You are saying, yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
So when I use it, it's a technique, it's a tool. It is not just something I'm doing. Just like any other aspect of storytelling, plot, dialogue, all these other things. These are all tools. So surrealism, I first encountered it from Japanese, Murakami. So that's where I've encountered it. I didn't encounter it from the Europeans. So I don't even know much about the European version of it, because I don't even think they did much with it. They did paintings, poems, and when I look at it, when I read what they did, it does not appeal to me.
Most of them,
it does not appeal.
More of poetry and painting.
Yeah, it does not appeal to me. But when I read Murakami, some other Japanese people,
yeah,
it appeals to me.
Yeah.
When I read this writer called Borges from Argentina, it appeals to me.
It's okay. So yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So you see where we are clashing, eh? From this, I'm trying to show you that what you think of the current writers is actually, I think what the thing that has changed is not actually hybridity.
What is it?
I think what has changed is the narrowing of vision. Yes, the narrowing of social vision. I think that's what has changed with the writers. So the post-independence writers, their vision was on the country, and the characters they had were members of the country. So their stories were about the country. But writers today, with some exceptions, the vision has come from the country to the individual. So and that goes hand in hand with how the laws have changed. Like the constitutions we had back then were constitutions that didn't have a lot of rights for the individual, right? So it was more of, don't ask what you can do for your country. Don't ask what your country can do for you. It's ask what you can do for your country. But today, if you look at the protests that happen, it's not about what I can do for my country. It's people are saying, what can my country do for me? I want the person I elect to do these things for me. So we have actually overturned that, like politically. The politics today are set around what can the country do for us as Kenyans, as individuals. Like remember Raila was promising 6,000 shillings. Remember Ruto was promising bottom up, which was going to, what I am going to do for the individuals at the bottom, every individual, right? So that kind of consciousness, I feel, is the same thing that we have in our writing, where my story is not about the country, it's about the individuals having an affair. So my surrealism is not like Ngoge's magical realism, where he is now serving the whole country politically. I am talking to individuals. Ngila, in his book, he's talking about free will. So it's about the individual again. So I had somebody here, and we talk and there's this idea we brought out, Musembi Wanza. We were talking about the personal essay. She writes personal essays. So there's this thing we concluded: the personal is political.
Personal essays.
Yes, the personal is political. So in the days of Akinangoge, it was the collective is political. So the individual was subsumed by the collective, right?
But now when we talk about individualism, as you said, you have narrowed down to individualism. You're very correct, because when we're talking about the mode of thought even recently, the contemporary mode of thought, we tend to be too much individualistic.
Okay.
And you see, there's
the word too much.
Yeah.
Too much is a criticism, right? You can't tell me it's a critique. It's a criticism, right?
Sorry?
It's a criticism when you say too much.
Too much.
Yes. Like too much individualism is not good.
Yeah. I'm criticizing it, obviously.
Finally.
Yeah.
You have accepted finally. Yes.
Because the things that we have to sit down as a society and investigate. Sometimes I think we have lost what actually defined us as a people or as a society. And you have been reading my article. You have seen the way I'm struggling to bring up the idea of the African philosophy and what it was centered on. And I think if you have been, if you know a little bit of what we discussed here sometimes back, we tend to be communal by nature. Okay. Right now, I just spoke with my grandmother asking me how I have been and why I have not been calling. You see, we tend to be communal in nature, and our things start from we first before we go outside there. And then there's this shift, which I think, as to my understanding, is not coming from something we call universal, characters or some. I think it's more of something we're borrowing from the influences that comes outside. Let me just be very honest, from foreign influences, especially, for example, the movies we see and the internet and all that. Okay, and this is where the question comes in. When we begin looking inward, narrowing the vision, as you call them, what actually are we? Which path are we taking? Because I feel, in that sense, what makes us different from Europe, we are actually missing it. We are actually slanting more towards Europe. And this is where the difficulty comes. Because the moment you become, you narrow the vision, for example, you write from the aspect of somebody who feels disturbed by the society. You use yourself as an individual, not the society, not the society disturbing, not the government, not the government effect on the society, but the government effect on you. Let me put it in a more simpler way. Now, this, you realize that we are deviating away from what we used to be, which was the aspect of the common, the we. Okay? And this is where the problem comes, because I feel the current trends of writers are they're too selfish. Okay.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, with themselves. Like, you see, people, while you have the freedom to write and all do that, but they don't actually look at the collective, the way, the tradition of the things that our values are embedded on. Wait a moment. I don't know whether you have read Kazuo Ishiguro, one of his work, and this part in the Nini, an artist of the floating world, where one of the characters there is more about painting and the culture of the artwork and all that. One of the characters there deviates from the the traditional painting, the style that has been known and have been taught in various schools, and it brings that that friction. You see, he's saying that he experiment with something new, and you see the way people go. The school, the members, the pupils in that school, it becomes cast aside, and people become furious with his style and all that, and is sent away. Okay. And even rejected by the teacher, because the Japanese culture need the kind of painting. There's a rule, and there's some norms that have to be followed. That if you just bring in the Western, actually calls it the European painting, to them, it will actually dilute what they have been teaching. So that's what I'm saying. Even though we are an artist and we have the freedom to write what we want, but there are also things that we have to look into. Yeah, which we have no problem. The world is changing, but this outward looking or being narrowing the vision, as you call it, flatten something. This is how it kills the very.
But we've actually defined it. It's not about looking outward. Flattening the vision is more about looking inward, because you are looking at the granular. You're moving from looking at the whole to the individual things in that society. Which doesn't always mean that you're looking outward. It could just mean you're looking more inward.
I think what...
No, think about it.
Well, you look inward.
Like you're looking more inward to the point where you're now just looking at the individual. His problems.
But under what modality?
So now that's the question. I wanted to say something. When we started, I said, the writer, I don't know if I said this way, but the writer is a product of his society, right? So it's like the society has changed. The society has changed, and the writer is in that society. If the society is at the point where we don't think we think I, how can the writer think we? How can he teach himself to think we?
But what brings this society? This.
Yes, it's changed.
What changed? What caused the change?
That's what you are here to answer. You see, you can't say the writers themselves. These writers are in their 20s, they're in their 30s. Yeah, it
is the borrowed idea, the influence that comes from outside. That's
how did that influence come in? How did that influence come in? How did that influence come in?
How did the influence come in?
Yeah.
Through the work we read and all that.
Through the work we read.
Yeah. The information, the internet.
But we don't read a lot as Kenyans. So how is that influence coming in? You see, I've said this, the society itself has changed, not just the writers. The writers are speaking from inside the belly of the beast. Or is it the belly of the whale? We are inside it. We are not outside. Like, we are inside the changed society.
But do you think the writer has a will or just a voice to change that? Because I think the writer is that person who is always disturbed by the currents of the society.
Exactly.
The
writer can only speak about what he sees in the society.
But what exactly was the role of
the only writer who can actually speak differently is one who has left the society and gone abroad and seen other places and come back to his society and seen it with a different eye. This is why people like those Akina Achebe, Akina Ngoge, they had left their countries and they came back. They were enlightened.
I feel those like people, they left the country after writing.
No. They like
they were exposed.
Ngoge was studying in Makerere.
Yeah.
Like you have left. Yeah. You have left the place you were. You see, like with Ngoge, his work is not just about Kenya. It's about his village, right? So he leaves his village and comes back.
But I feel that notion is not adding up, because now with the current the information we have and access to information, we can't say that we can't see what the society is, and we are, as a writer, for example, myself, have not left that much. I can tell that there is something that is missing
All right.
Okay, and I think it is my responsibility as a writer to rectify that. I have to be disturbed by that.
Yes, yes.
Back then, you could say,
Yes.
So this is Rugara. It is a very common, it's a very serious issue, and I think we really need to see on how to address it, because that is how I feel like the society, you must always have to be preserved. The core ethics of the society can be preserved, and one way to preserve that, which I think you know, is through artwork. Art is the most powerful tool. Last time you were telling me that there is no way to reach audience and to influence people than, there's no better way to influence people than through stories. Yeah, so it is the way we tell our stories that will define the next society, and I think that is the responsibility of the contemporary writer, to see on what step they have to take to change that. They have to be disturbed by themselves. But be that as it may.
But I like this idea because if the writers have been changed and the society has changed, it means that the writers would have to change themselves individually.
That notion, I still say, does
Like,
not hold count.
It
does not hold. Why?
the society has changed. Don't you agree?
Has changed. Society has
If
changed.
the society has changed and the writer wants to take it back to what it was, the writer has to do the work. It's almost like spiritual work on their own.
Okay,
To awaken themselves consciously.
Yeah.
Then
You stand apart, you leave the old body and question it, okay?
Yes.
And you say that exactly.
Yes.
It is the responsibility of a writer to look, because most time, if you see the way Ngugi writes in the writers in politics, it's mentioned that the work of a writer is never to stand with the status quo. The work of a writer is always to protest writers, okay, is always to question the very fabric of the society.
Okay.
You have always to provoke, you see. That to me is what a writer is. Someone who is always never comfortable with what is there. And so this is what I feel is the responsibility of a writer. And here I don't say that they are in the society, because we are living in a world where the information is very accessible, and we are educated, and we know our history. Okay? Yeah. But I was trying to make something. I'm going back to my Cosmopolitan article, and I said there are many things that I would have written in that. Actually, I wanted to write a longer piece, but then I said, let me put that for this.
It was already very long.
Yeah, it was very long. I wanted to write a longer piece, because I wanted to argue that the cosmopolitan turn in Kenyan literature, for example, we don't have to accuse the writers who are taking this turn, or who are, narrowing their vision or looking outward. Which one is which?
it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
No, if it's about the vision, it's narrowing.
Yeah.
But if it's about audience, it's looking out.
Hey, the audience. Because of that, the audience are, we are dealing with the world.
It's actually something sorry to interject. It's something I wanted to say something about that. It's actually something I felt about Kwani writers. Yeah. When I used to read like Binyavanga and find him explaining words that are easily understood in Kenya. So if he will explain what is Ugali, then obviously his audience is not Kenyan.
He's not Kenyan. Yeah, you see that.
Yeah.
And that is what I was saying. So you see, you have to understand that we don't only write for us. There's also that desire to see your work do what received outside there, the visibility that the work needs, and also there's also the economic aspect of it, where you need something and so in return, and there's also the idea of publishing and all that, where for your book to be accepted there has to be, they have to define. There's that gatekeeping. They have to define what their readers want, and when you talk about the readers want, for example, the big five. They will define for you what the European writers want to hear, which, for example, in this case, European writers will obviously read more stories that are poverty-related, trauma, you see, such things, political unrest, wars, such things. These are the things that sell to sell to them. So if, for example, I want to tell a story about the African authenticity and our, the concept of personhood, just, polish it in a story form and then pass it out there, I don't think it will appeal to the outside readers. It might only appeal to me, but not to the outside readers. So it is all about there are many aspects, many factors that come into play, like the economic, the visibility of the work and all that. We don't have to also so it depends with what is the main goal of a writer. What is the vision? Is it you to write, to educate, or to let your work expand out there, or just to tell your story? Yeah.
But we have to resolve this, this tension, yeah. So what do you think should be done? Like, since we've actually identified this is something that is making the writing, like if the writing is in the same boat with the society where we have all changed, what should the writer do? What should the writer do, like practically? How should he find the true north?
This is a question of which story should we tell? Okay. And when you say about which story should we tell, we have to look, is it the story of the contemporary? And if it's the story of contemporary, we have to question, what is this, what is this contemporary about? Is it embodying the African values, for example? Is it embodying the Kenyan values? Should we tell the Kenyan story the way it is, or the way we see it as a society? Or should we create ours that we might find fit for the society, for Kenyan society? So in this thing, I think writing is not an academic work. For example, storytelling, is not an academic work where you have to, everything must be filtered through the lens of academic, and has to undergo that level of, what do we call it? We have this continental and
analytic.
Analytic, have to undergo that kind of analytic lens, So I think it is the responsibility of a writer is just to tell the story. You tell the story, okay? Then let the
these are the stories you are critiquing.
Yeah, tell your story, okay?
But you already don't like how we are telling these stories.
It's upon us, the reviewers.
So
and
now,
the readers,
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Since
you can't define, I can't define for you how you're going to write your story.
No. You see, as somebody who has the idea, you said the way we are telling these stories is not right.
I did say it's right. Eric,
you're taking this. I did ask you if you are criticizing, and you said yes.
No, at some things actually, not everything.
No. Whatever you are criticizing is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
What should the writer do to set things right?
Tell the right story.
What is the right story? That's what I want us to get into the meat of it. What's the right story?
And this one is defined by from your lens, because I want to say that the right story for you is for me. Okay?
No. No.
You see?
No. You're washing your hands like Pontius Pilate. No, you had already committed. Once you commit, we have to go to the end. You give me a straight
You want me
answer.
to be very honest?
Yes, be honest. That's why you're here.
You want me to be very honest?
That's why you're here.
I'm a writer too. One day you might read my novel.
Since you are not yet there, and you have the freedom.
You might call someone here to all question me, okay?
Since you are not yet there, have the freedom.
Well, for me, I don't want to speak for others. For me, what I see is that, the problem that most people think when I talk about African values, they think we go to, those traditional values of, those cultural, the anachronistic that we left long time ago, and things that no longer make sense to us. You see, yeah. What I mean is that we have to get out of the idea of this individualism and become communal once again. I want to see the story where we are seeing the lived realities of an African life. It's not supposed to be just like a chebe, like the village African life. On Google, like we see in the river between, okay, and all those norms and cultures.
We live in the cities now.
We live in the cities now.
How do we have those realities, yet in the cities the reality is individualism?
I don't think. I don't think reality is in the city is individualism.
Isn't it?
No.
Tell me more.
I don't think the reality is in the city is individualism. Okay?
It is.
There is something Kenyan that you will never find in London. Okay? There is something
which you are not finding in Kenyan stories. That's something.
There is the cast of for example, the Matatu culture. Look, the beautiful things. Okay? There is the way we tell. For example, there is the linguistic hybridity that we can bring. Even if it is hybrid, but it must be a subset. One must not overshadow the other. For example, the linguistic hybridity, you write about urban life, bring in the conversation of the Sheng, for example. How? You see, it is something that I relate and I can understand better.
But this is already in Kenyan works today.
For example?
My works?
Yeah, I see that. Thank you. Then there is also there.
It is there.
It is there.
So you see,
it is there. No, the idea.
You see, if you are criticizing, you can't be telling me the things I need to do are the things I'm already doing, right? You need to tell me what I'm not doing, so that I know what I should do.
I think what the idea of criticizing, I'm still trying to let you to tone down there, because I'm not criticizing in a bad way, and it's not it is not criticizing. It actually,
okay, if you are critiquing,
critiquing. I think I love the term.
Whatever. That's semantics.
Yeah.
If you are critiquing,
which I think is coming in, and which is very beautiful. You can see that in, for example, Nanis. What is that? Onjerika. What is that? You read that story.
Fanta Black and
right. Look at the way the story is structured in Nairobi locale and all that. You see, this is something that you feel, you find, you can relate to this story. Okay, and then you can hybridize. Yes, you talk about such a theme, but hybridize. Find it, let it be. Have you read? You have read Achebe's, for example, A Man of the People. The way it even gives the speeches there in Pignin, Nigeria's Pignin. You see that? So
the reason I'm asking this is because Kenyan writers today are doing more of that than before.
I don't think.
They are.
You are not reading. You are one of them.
No. Let me finish. They are doing this more than before because, first of all, the audience today, because of now like having the Nuria bookshop and everything, the audience today for the Kenyan writer who is publishing here in Kenya is Kenyans. Therefore, I'm seeing a lot of writers, they are not even italicizing when they use Kiswahili words in the book. If you go to those older books, they always italicize. If you go to books like those ones I've told you from Akina Kwani, they always explain things. Even older books, they always have glossary. These things are not there anymore.
They're not there.
They are not there anymore. I am saying this because I've been watching this. I've been looking at it. I know a writer who wrote a book called Matatu Slasher. In this book, it's about a serial killer. Imported idea maybe, but it's a serial killer who kills, Matatu drivers and conductors for some reason. It's in the book. So what I found interesting in this book, the dialogue, most of the dialogue is in Sheng. Yes, Sheng, like without any translation. So a lot of the dialogue is in Sheng, straight Sheng, not mixing English and Sheng, but straight Sheng. So the characters are speaking in Sheng, unless of course they go to an office where they speak in English. But if they are in the matatus, they are speaking in Sheng, pure Sheng. I haven't seen this in any other book because usually people mix. So when I saw this, I knew we have crossed that Rubicon to a point where in a few years we are going to have maybe a Sheng novel.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm asking, that's why I brought it up, because this is something I'm already seeing with a lot of writers. When I look at Nyanchwani's books, The Man About Town, it's about the Kenyan realities. There's a lot of Kiswahili there in Sheng. If you tell me any writer, like even the short story collections, if you go to our own short story collection, Broken Rhythm, you'll find Kenyan realities and even the language. And we didn't even italicize when we used when somebody is using, did we? I don't remember, but we actually had that discussion, and I think we didn't. Though some preferred to, and some preferred not to italicize. So I see that a lot, even in the anthologies I'm reading. Kenyan realities, and that whole idea of Sheng is being used, and so on. So that's why I'm saying, whatever you're telling me that we should do is what I am already seeing people doing.
So the question is?
So my question, I still want to know, you see, the aspect of the individuality, because this is something now I can work with, individuality versus collectivity, right? So I want to know how it comes across in storytelling.
Well, I think I will say that mostly this comes across as, touching on those issues that affect the society, not affecting individual, okay? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes,
touching on those issues that affect the society.
Yes.
And you see, in that sense, you will be speaking from the society standpoint.
Yet the things affecting the individual are the things affecting the society.
The things affecting the individual affect the society.
Because if the individual is suffering in poverty, it's because the society, the economy is a certain way.
Yeah.
Like I have a story about somebody who's unemployed, and they are looking for work, and all the things that they go through looking for work. So this story is about this individual, but isn't this the story of Kenya? How do we say this is about the individual?
The question of individualism and collectivity is a little bit difficult, challenging, because first a writer is an individual, and for you to be a writer, you must compartmentalize these ideas in your mind, and you stand there and look like an observer and you express your story. But I think I think that you see the story like the way Major Mwangi bring his stories. You see that, okay? You see the way Major Mwangi bring his stories. The story, okay, most of the thing I've been reading in contemporary writing, the story follows a structure where we follow an individual. You see, it is an individual being followed. The story does not live. It is the life of this individual, this individual, that, okay? You don't see how the street is. You don't see what the neighbor looks like. You see that?
Oh, so you're talking about description of the setting. Setting.
Example is just, for example, the setting, okay? One of them is setting, how you set the story.
A good example.
But you see, for example, somebody like Mwangi bring the stories, it is individual, yes, but the story lives. You feel the Nairobi-ness in it. You see?
This is something else you've brought in.
No, it's not something else. It's exactly what I'm trying to talk about. Look at the works of early writers, for example, of Ngugi's works and all that, Grain of Wheat, and the story is more, you see, like it's depiction of the Mau Mau War. It's centered on one character, protagonist, but there is
the context.
Yeah, the context. There's how the story is society-wise. It looks, it's there's how it stretches its arm, and you can feel yourself part of that society. This is what I'm speaking about.
Okay.
Unlike
in that case, Yvonne is doing fantastic.
Yvonne,
because her work is full of context, historical context. And in terms of even setting, if she writes about the North, you see it in her book, in the texture of it, the historical texture of it, and even the physical texture of it. When she writes about the sea, the coast, you get the historical texture of it now, which even now brings in that cross Indian Ocean. Because it's about the history of it.
The thing I'm trying to say is that even if the story is individual centered, it must intertwine with what? With how with the society, the broader society. And all those themes that, that the society speaks about, or that, that disturbs the society. So you look, some of this work nowadays, I don't want to mention one writer. I think that would be personal attack. But I feel the story was good, very smoothly flowing and all that. But the story is centered in such a way that we are told about the personal grief of this young girl. And the young girl has lost the father. And then the writer is more concerned with how the girl, feels, okay? And the trauma that follows this girl after the father's lost, okay? And she is trying, to find herself, and that.
So this actually makes it cosmopolitan, because it can be enjoyed without context by anybody in the world.
Which I think is exactly what cosmopolitanism is. And when I talk about cosmopolitan in this sense,
I'm actually bringing it back to your original point.
Individualism, for example, is not, when I talk about being cosmopolitan, it means that the story shaped away from the communal belonging, to individual belonging, which is more of a Western, epistemological mode, okay? It's rather, it's not mostly never African cosmological mode.
But now I understand you better. So it's about the context, the historical context, the social context, the philosophical context of that society, how we think in this society. This is how we think. I had Nani here. What's his name? John Mwazemba, former publisher, former regional manager at Oxford University Press. And this is something, I'm bringing it now back to you. This is something he said. He said that the great stories, they have terra firma. And I asked him, what is terra firma? You see, terra firma, by definition, it's what you stand on. So like what we are standing on is terra firma. So it's what is the story standing on? So the story is not suspended in the air. It is standing on a terra firma. And what is terra firma? It is the culture, it is the history of this place, it is the ideas, the thinking.
I think you have brought it better.
Yes.
That is what
This is what I've been struggling to wrestle out of you.
You have brought it better. You have actually brought it better.
Yes.
What is the story standing on? Because you read some of the stories that we have embraced and loved and admired all our time, there is something that defined this story. And the thing that defined that story was its reflection of the society. People speak really about, for example, Okonkwo. They speak about is
the Umuofia.
Umuofia. Okay. And ultimately, his death, how it affects. This is not something else. This is not. And
even basically we are looking at the way society, the way Okonkwo behaves is also a reflection of his society. Because this is what it is believed to be a man of this sort.
To be a man of this sort. You see the way
this is what a man should be.
You see the way it starts. He had conquered I don't know what.
He had great fame across.
Across that. You see? That is it. And you also see the story of Ngugi is a river between. If you ever did it, I think I did it. And you see how the story begins.
Kameno and Makoyo, two regions
lay side
facing
by
each
side.
other. Yes.
You see where the story begins.
And a river in between.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see the story begin.
Yes.
We are first brought, there's that picture that you are in. So you are looking in, then the characters stream in slow by slow. So the work of a character is to take you through the landscape of the society, to take you through the social issues. It takes you about the daily livings of this society. And this is what I'm speaking about. Our story as an African, this is what I've been struggling to maybe pass across, it was more communal, communal based. We were communal by the sense on our lives in all that. And you can't say that modernity has actually brought that. Modernity has brought just some influence. But I think the idea of Africa itself, back in Nyeri, I know you still feel part of you. Nyeri. Always everyone living here in the city.
But then now that you say it, like when you go to like a town like Nyeri, it's a small town. But it doesn't feel like how Nairobi is.
Nairobi.
Because when you go to that town, you find this town closes very early. You go to that town, you find everybody knows everybody.
No, very good. Everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
People help each other.
The rhythm of the day life there.
It is a town. It is a town operating with a village mindset.
Village mindset.
Not now as a pejorative, but as a good thing. The village mindset, like that communalism.
That is it. So there's that idea, and I'm not saying that we have to get stuck in this. It is just that there are some values that we have to embrace, because an African man I'm seeing, and the one that is emerging currently, seem to be so much individualistic, and something that we never used to have. And you realize people, for example, there have been cases of mental illness, people dying, you see, such things. And then, people embracing some identities that they don't even understand, they do not even, the larger society do not relate to. You see, people getting into crimes. That's not used to be an African way of life. Killing. It used not to be an African way of life, unless people are going to tribal wars, but just taking a panga, killing somebody used not to be. And these are things that I think are just, it is just the way people relate. I think that, that relational identity has shifted. And these are all the things that I think we need to put in our story.
But I love that, because whatever now we have actually uncovered is something I've actually been wrestling with in my own work since last year. Since last year, what you like now, this whole idea of the terra firma, like I have been wrestling with this idea of the story should not just be about the characters. The story should say more than what it says about the characters. It shouldn't be that you read the story and you learned about the characters. Because then it's like watching a movie or something. It should have some broader context around it.
Broader context.
So this is what I've been really working on. And in the subsequent stories I've worked on, you will find that I have even been trying to figure out, how do you bring this out? Because it means even how you narrate the story is different. Because like in my previous work, you'll find I was really fond of dialogue, because it's about the characters talking to each other. But then since then, because of understanding this concept, I have been looking beyond dialogue to now you see those long, elaborate paragraphs which bring out the context.
They bring out the context, descriptive. Those descriptive paragraph. So that is it. And when you hear me speak about that, that's what disturbs me, as a reader. But then there's also the other things, so that these things, you find it is very challenging, even for a writer. But I think that is changing. I think that is changing, because the same conversation I'm having with you, a friend asked me, who read the article, and asked me, what do you feel about the aspect of the Kenyan literature not being so, not being so. It used, the kind of the stories we're giving now, the books that I'm reading nowadays, they are not so good according to his context. They're not so relatable.
Do you feel they are not deep, or
he feels they're not relatable the way they want? And I told him the shift is, yes, that aspect. The shift is that it depends mostly the breed of writers we are having now. First, a writer is a reader. There's how the books that they are reading have been influenced by the books they read, and most of the books that are sold here in Kenya are not books written by Kenyans or even by Africans. They are mostly foreign books, and so reading this book influences on how they also write their own. And second, I believe that is changing because one of the definitive thing back then as a writer was that you had to, bow to the whims of the publishing house. You could tell a very good story, but they'll tell you this does not fit our market. By that, our market, we mean those foreign markets or whatever, if it was based in Europe. But of course, nowadays we have indie publishers. For example, in Nairobi, you go to Lagos, you find them, and most people, the stories are coming up. More of them are coming up, and I think this will bring all this hybridity. And I think that all inward looking or individualism will turn, because more people will begin to tell the story in the way they know and the way the society is, because there is access to publishing and all that. And this is what will begin to do what? Will change the literary landscape of the country. And if you look keenly, it's not actually the African literary landscape that is changing. Europe itself changed. The classic literature, what we call the classic European literature, started with people like Homer and Aesop's. They were mostly about what? They were mostly about tragedy, epic poems, and such things, and folk tales and that. Then comes the medieval period.
This is Aesop.
Huh?
You say Aesop?
Yeah, Aesop.
Aesop was African.
Oh,
those stories are very African. But that's a story for another.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you then. Thanks for
Aesop means.
But we have Virgil. We have Virgil. There was also Virgil. Virgil's point.
Aesop means Ethiop, which means Ethiopian.
I never knew
which
that.
Then to the.
They are fables. The fables.
Yes. If you read them, they look so familiar to Africa.
But you see the way the stories are. Like that's how we see our traditional African literature. Look like.
It is believed that he was a captured slave from North Africa, who then told those stories.
Okay, yeah.
To the Greeks.
Okay. So you see that. And then come the medieval period, where the story are based on what? The feudalism and the Christianity of the period. After medieval, we have what? We have the Renaissance. Renaissance comes after the Enlightenment, or Renaissance, okay? And the Renaissance now, where people...
The Renaissance is after the Protestant Reformation.
Yeah. You see
then after the Renaissance, you get the Enlightenment.
Enlightenment, okay? Enlightenment, we have the modernism and then postmodernism. There is also the period here with romanticism, I think. That you see the story, the way the story structure changes, the way the society changes. And I think there's how these things will... shifted. It shifted the literal landscape of the Europe until this very moment. If you check the European stories, they're different, quite different from what Dickens, even the ones in the 20th centuries, and the others wrote about. So this one, I believe, is also something that we are witnessing in Africa.
But let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You've mentioned modernism, postmodernism, which has made me start thinking. When you read, I don't know if you've read literary academic stuff from the professors and so on at the universities, when they write about let's say Kenyan or African literature, what categories do they use? Do they talk about still postmodernism when they talk about Africa?
The word has been politicized a lot.
Because postmodernism these are categories made in the West. But which categories are African intellectuals using, critics using, to talk about our works? Because you see the good thing about the critics, they help us understand our works and what we are doing at a macro level. So until your article, we didn't know whatever you are talking about that is happening. So you see, your article helps us to to think. Until what's his name? John Mozemba told me about the terra firma. I had never thought of it like that. Like it helped me think more about it. Another person was there's this. I read my story somewhere, and who was he? Paselelo Kantai. He was there, and he said something about, I don't know where this is. I don't know. I can't situate it. So he was talking about the context. Though I had only read a passage. So he was talking about that contextualization. So after he said that, it stuck with me that was in 2024 or 2023, December. So it stuck with me for a whole year. Like it stuck with me until now. Last year, when I had the interview with John, he said that about the terra firma, and I now started understanding it better.
Terra firma.
So now, even now, when I would now say I want to write a short story, I am now not thinking the way I used to. You see, it's because of the critics. So I'm trying to bring in the idea of the importance of critics. And now, since you are now a critic, when you bring up these critics, right? Are you finding material that can help you understand where the level of criticism is in Kenya about Kenyan literature? Or are you working in the dark?
I don't know what you mean by working in the dark.
Like, do we have, you see, if you are a Western critic, you will have things like modernism, postmodernism, structuralism, like they have a lot, surrealism. You see, even when we say surrealism, it's a Western.
I'm actually basing my work first from the academic work that I've read. I'm too much academic in most of my reading. I read more academic work than the
That's why now I'm asking about academic work locally. For literature. What have you found?
I think one of the work that has influenced me much is Cameroonian philosopher's work. It's called Achille Mbembe.
Oh yeah.
You've heard him.
Yes.
There's a book which he expands more about Afrofuturism, and it talks about the idea of Africa, what he feels Africa is taking. I think when I read that book, and I was also reading at the time Ngila's work, it struck me.
You also mentioned
Gekandi's video. I came out of Gekandi. There's an article I read also about him talking about the idea of the world literature before I went to the video now, and it was the video was very, 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 very informative. So these are work. For example, in the idea of Afrofuturism, Mbembe is trying to see Africa that will, in the near future, not actually omit or discard the African, traditions as we see them. Actually, it feels like we will go back and look unto them, because there will be that yearning for identity. Okay, but then there's how we will embed this to the scientific revolution, something that he seems very possible, and is the way the African is about to change. So that is one way to look at it. Of course, there are other works that I've read, okay, in terms of the literally, there are many sources that I got my work from, in terms of the literary. I think I quoted them there. So, and then what do I situate this to? Like, for example, in idea of the African literature now, this is where the problem comes, because I feel the way we change is not distinctly ours. You see, I feel like our change is influenced from outside. Okay? Like we change with an external current.
I feel the literature itself.
Even the literature itself.
What about the criticism?
Sorry?
What about the criticism, the critics?
For you see my critic?
No, not like you. the academia, basically. The academy. Like, what do you think?
I don't know what you are. I think I've not understood your question well. Like in terms,
do we have local based? Is that the word? Homegrown philosophies of critiquing African literature.
Yeah, a lot. One of the things that I think
modern,
for example,
African literature.
Yeah.
Not now about the Akinangogi, because the academics of those days, they did their work.
I see.
I'm asking about the academics today.
The academics. But today, I use the work of the academics that are there. And one of them, I think, was the idea of the quasi-reduced philosophy. I think I discussed here before. The idea of the conceptual decolonization on how we should pick what is good for us and then embed it into our daily lives, okay? And in our day-to-day lives. And use it to tell our stories. We tell our story in our own way, but we don't have to reject what is good and that resonate with our own story, with our own story or our way of life. That is one of them. So I situate this conceptual decolonization by quasi-reduced has been very influential even for me on the way I do my work and the way I even read other people's work, even including those works from outside. Yeah, so I think that is it. But in terms of the literary tradition, this is also another problem that we maybe talk about, because Africa, even philosophically, has not settled on one tradition. You can say this is exclusively an African tradition. Everything that has been said is always debated, is always a debate, is always a critic of another. You see? Yeah, so but we can, out of them, we can actually get the idea of where we are, So I think this is still a process. Yeah.
Because like when they talk about Kenya, like when they talk about like books from the 60s and 70s, they used to talk about serious books and popular books, which I feel is so, it is not deep enough, you know? Because abroad they are talking about modernism, postmodernism, like they have, there's more thought. Because you can't just say it's a popular book, yet when you go and read Going Down River Road, it is still addressing themes that are very serious, you know? So is it just a popular book, you know?
I don't know what they mean by serious books.
No, that's what the academics used to, that's how it used to be classified.
It's serious.
That some books are serious and some books are popular.
Was the fact that it goes beyond the border, maybe read by
No, they were talking about some books are in the African Writers series. And the others are in like the Spear books. So these are distinction by the publisher. But it stuck beyond the publisher to also how even the academics were looking at these books. So you'll find that maybe somebody like Meja Mwangi, he was not taken seriously in the beginning because he was writing the popular books. So quotes, Yet, when we look at Meja Mwangi today,
we see serious themes. And
we see in those popular books, we see the most serious themes about the country and so on.
That's what I'm saying. The idea of the publisher is I think they speak or categorize them based on how they are.
But you see now that's the publisher. I'm asking about the academia, the critics. The critics should not just follow the publishers.
No.
They should be able to read beyond that, right? So, that's what I'm asking, because what I saw in your work is a serious critique of the modern writing and how it looks. So I'm wondering if you have encountered similar works today, being written about books coming out today, Kwani books and so on.
For literary work, I think not counted. I think the major work I've read is just by Ngugi's on other works. But you know, Ngugi is always critiquing the European writers. Okay, I think that is one the person I've read. No, being honest, I've not read most critic books.
Is it that these books or these works are not available, or a lot of the critique is happening maybe in the newspapers but not? I'm trying to wonder about this.
the critics are there, but I think most of them are just academic. And this is the problem I'm having with the Kenyan academic works.
Is it that they are in the academy,
Yeah,
and they are not published as books?
They are not, if they're there, they are in the universities.
So that's why we are not aware of
For
them.
example, Nani, you remember last time I think I had some exchanges with you in social media about the idea of democracy. Was it you or somebody? And I felt like there's how the democracy, the African democracy is, I feel like we have given it too much timeline without even questioning the very internal structures on whether it is fit for us or not, or we can have alternative forms of government. And I think what inspired me then was just my conversation with Professor University of Nairobi professor, Professor Oduor, Regional MJ Oduor. And Oduor was telling me when I called him, he was telling me that there's a book he has co-authored. Actually, he edited, though he didn't. He edited. It is written by Kenya's Professor D.M. Asolo, and I think with somebody. I think it must be Oriare or somebody. And this book is a critique of democracy. I think it is called African Beyond Liberal Democracy. And the way he explained me, I found this idea. We took a long time discussing this, and the idea was very rich and very, very inspiring. Then I asked him, I want to read this book. This book is not here. It is in the US, somewhere in the University of Louisville, okay?
Yes.
It has not reached here. You see that? Serious work that I personally have even found. It has taken me a great deal to get some of these books. Because the most serious work, the most serious academic work are never in the Kenyan shelves. They are either deeper in the university shelves or hidden somewhere in Western university shelves. They are never popular. Like, for example, when you talk about the works of Bertrand Russell, you talk about the works of Marxists, those works, they are always readily available. Even online, you can get them. But
so that's the difference.
That's the difference. So you will rarely find, they are critic, and I know they are literally critic. Like Gikandi's one of the article I got, I had really to search, because I'd read about Gikandi through Nani's, what is his name? Through Nani Baraka's article.
Kari Baraka.
Yeah, Kari Baraka. In which I think...
But at least Gikandi's work is available online.
It's at least. And then I came and read about Kwani a little, and I read Gikandi was some of the founding editors, you see. And then I came and heard about him, and then I started reading some of his articles. And at least you could find them. Very serious critic, okay? But not more critic about the African books.
So it's a question of accessibility.
Accessibility. They're not accessible, and this is something that I think we have to talk about. Even serious literally work. There are many books. I think there are many Kenyan writers that are outside there, but we never hear about their book. There are professors in US, UK, but their books are never here. You only hear about them when you do start serious, literally work, maybe research. They do online. That's where I meet some of them.
I will invite some of them. I see. If they will come and share some of these ideas.
I think you should invite them. I don't know. You should invite them. It's very important. But the fact is, the accessibility of these things is very limited. Like, we don't have access to even the philosophical work. You could have said that these people. Kenyans do not even teach philosophy in the first place in the curricula.
Really?
Is it taught?
Really?
It does.
I had like 2 units or 3 in philosophy in campus.
The units you had were Eurocentric philosophy.
Yes, they were.
Not African philosophy.
I was taught Nietzsche, Socrates, Plato. They are not there. Nani confided to me, Professor Oduor. They are not there in the Kenyan the Kenyan units. The African
they are not there. But some other Western work, philosophy begins from high school. They're taught, they're part of the syllabus in high school. People learn about Socrates, the ideas and all that. Imagine. So I think it's all about how these works have been kept, and we can never access them.
Let me read the passage I wanted to read from your article. But this shift, so to be honest, also provokes this fear that cosmopolitan hybridity and universalism may erode Kenya's cultural grounding in literature. Literature is the core of a nation's cultural marketplace, a dynamic arena where identities are negotiated, values exchanged, and collective narratives preserved. In post-colonial Kenya, it has served as a bulwark against fragmentation, safeguarding communal ethos and anti-colonial memory. When authors like Ngila import Platonic dualism or global enigmas, they risk diluting this marketplace, transforming rooted particularism into deracinated abstraction. Up to this moment, Europe's global prestige owes much to the literary exhibitions exported alongside colonialism. The likes of Shakespeare, Dickens, and Hegel were very solid instruments of civilizational hegemony, embedding Eurocentric universalism as the standard of excellence. Post-colonial societies continue to admire these traditions because they were sold as timeless ideals, subtly perpetuating a hierarchy where African voices are valued only when they mimic or hybridize with them. The anxiety then is philosophical. Can Kenyan literature maintain its relational we, the communal personhood Wiredu and Yekie describe, amid cosmopolitan ambitions, or will it surrender to a marketplace dominated by global commodification? That paragraph is.
But do you understand?
Very rich. It's very rich.
Do you understand what I'm trying to explain there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Yes. It's actually everything you've said. Yeah.
So
now, after even the discussion we've had, I understand it way better.
Thank you.
But you have something to say about that?
I think just to reiterate on that, because there is how we can hybridize, but I think it's also a challenge, which I think we have to admit. To sell the concept, the personhood, for example, the communal personhood that we were used to back then, can be very challenging if you want to hybridize it. The moment you hybridize it,
I think the Japanese still have their we in their stories. Like when this is something I noticed. When I read Japanese books, the family is always very there. It's very much there in the story. The family. So the family is always there in the stories.
But I think that could
which brings in the we, right?
But Japanese is maybe nature. By nature, that is who they are. It's not only Africa.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that, like, I'm saying that it is possible to have the.
Yeah, it is possible. Yeah.
The true. Japanese. Yeah. It is possible to do that and still be still be read worldwide, because these Japanese works that I'm reading are obviously, global world literatures, right? That's how they've gotten to me in Africa.
Yeah, true.
And I can read them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's very possible. Yeah. There's something. The challenging come when the visibility will come in terms of our. The problem of the challenge will come in terms of the visibility. Like, you see, for your book to be out there, it is something that first will have to be accepted, maybe by the major publishing houses, you see, for it to be published, okay? And then they have to put it outside there. And, major publishing houses still get keep. And this is maybe where the problem is. So probably, in the near future, the work that you'll still be seeing that will be cosmopolitan, not cosmopolitan, world literature, as Gikandi call them, will be more of what the big five will be putting for us outside there. And the big five work with their market demand. They don't work with the African, they don't work with the African demand. They will work with the world demand or the market demand.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but it's very possible. And I think this possibility will come in two ways, two streams. One is the the publishing stream. Kenyans, I think, have to invest more in internal publishing and stop looking outside. Okay. The second is the marketing stream, because now, once we have published outside here, the book must go out there. And it is through going outside there that we are going to sell our cultures, that we are going to make the work be known and to become world literature, as Gikandiko call them. Yeah, so we can cosmopolitize the work, yes. But making the work become world literature is a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that one lies solely with us. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, I was worried that we were not going to to find the core of this. No, not the common ground. The core of your argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad, you know.
I found
we found it. Yeah.
Yeah, I found. Yeah, it's good. I think it's maybe the expression, as I told you.
No, I don't know if it's the expression. It's the idea itself is very, what do you call it? It's new.
It's new also, and also complicated.
Yes, so like finding the
I don't know. What do you think we have to do in this case? Because in your view, let me now become the interviewer. What do you think? What do you think we should do? Because I feel you are a writer, and honestly, Rugara, I like the work you're doing. Yes, I like the work you're doing. But I feel we are not putting much. I feel like there's something, you know, how do I say? How do I put it?
For me,
there's that soul that we have not. You know, we are in our prime now with the younger generation, and I think this is the time that we have to define the future. And I feel we are lying in that future. It is just right on us. We have not opened it, and I think we're lying in it. I feel like there is something we have to open. There's a chord or something we have to strike for all this to bloom. Okay, and much as it may, I think if you look at Nigerian writing industry, look at Nigerian writing industry. Nigerian writing industry. Yes, it might have still few elements, but Nigerian writing industry is going down.
It's going down.
I feel so.
Really?
I feel so.
I thought you were going to praise it.
No. It's going down.
Why?
The Nigerian writing industry is, yes, there are still many elements that many writers and others who are still outside there, and you know, people like Nani. Apart from Chima, there's this guy, the owner of the.
But you know, Nigeria has so many writers.
Yeah, he has so many writers
that we know,
but
that are now world literature. I don't know how it can go down.
They are now world literature.
Yes.
But do you think the nature of Nigerian story recently, the one, for example, written the Nigerian story that sell currently? You know, the stories that mostly. For example, I suggest in our book club we were supposed to read Under the Udala Tree. By this lady.
I've read that book.
Yeah. And then they also, the upcoming writers, the owner of the Road to the Country, what is his name?
Chigozie Obioma.
Yeah, such writers. And there are many people. But do you see what do you think about the Nigerian literature itself, leave alone the marketability, the kind of the work that we currently read by the contemporary writers? What is it that you feel? What trajectory do you think it is taking? Is it a Chebe-like? Does it give the life in Nigeria the way it used to be?
I think so. Not maybe a Chebe-like, because it can't be a Chebe-like.
Chebe-like, yeah.
You see, Achebe was writing about the post-colonial time, but with a pre-colonial sensibility still.
Yeah.
Nigerian writers today are cosmopolitan because they have also traveled. Nigerians are the most traveled Africans.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
They are becoming cosmopolitan, and that cosmopolitanism, this is how it flattens the Nigerianness in it.
Okay.
I'm reading some works and I feel like they have to tune in to search.
I think unless it's immigrant literature, it's okay. Like, you know, there are those books that are written by Nigerians but based abroad. So you find the book is by a Nigerian, but it's based in in Europe.
So you see,
So I don't like those books.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the books by Nigerians set in Nigeria.
Set in Nigeria.
Yes.
I see that. Like I think Obionyo's books are very, very, very good, and they're very strategic. They're Nigerian, and I think somebody described him as the new Achebe, and I think I tend to agree. Such. So this cosmopolitanism, Nigerian books sell, yes, but there's how the flavor,
Yes.
the literally flavor of the book has been diluted, okay, by the embracing the cosmopolitanism. That's something I personally observed. It's a personal critic, but I think if you look keenly, one or two people might agree with me. But this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, we have a challenge. Yeah, what do you think we should do?
I think personally, from this conversation, you know, what I can only pick what I will do for myself.
Yeah.
So what I've picked is the same thing I picked from John Mozemba, the thing about the terra firma. So what the conversation with you has done is basically to give me more intellectual grounding for what he spoke in passing. Whatever you've spoken here has given me a whole philosophy around it. So the whole thing of terra firma, in the sense of, in our stories, we need to go beyond. You see, now I'm talking as a writer, so practical. So we need to go beyond the story itself, like the story, the plot. We need to go beyond the plot. So the plot: the boy meets a girl, they fall in love. End of the story. That's the plot. So now we need to look at the things around the plot. So for instance, the boy is, let's say, if it is Kenya, what are the socio-political or socio-economic issues in Kenya? So the boy can represent those issues, the girl can represent those issues, the place that they live in, the town that they live in, can represent those issues. So the story now becomes richer. It is not just about the boy meets the girl and they fall in love. It's the boy meets the girl and they fall in love amidst this.
All that.
Yes, that. So that's what I've got. And that's what I will do.
That's what we'll do.
Yes.
The reception, how do you make this story to now?
No, going abroad.
Because
actually, that's what will make it even go more. You know why? People who are out there, when they read stories about different places, they want to learn about those places. So if I just do a story about a boy meets a girl, they fall in love, that's a story they could read from writers in their country. So if I write a story from here, let it have those elements, so they'll be like, oh, now I have learned more about Kenya. Because when even you go to Goodreads, and
I think
and you read the reviews there.
After
they've read a book by like Dance of the Jacaranda, you will find they're like, oh, now I have understood more about the Kenyan colonization, the Asians in Kenya, and you know that whole history around it. So you learned history while reading the story.
I think that is very important. Personally, I feel I think what we need to work, because we already have stories and we already have writers, many and enough of them, and what we need to work on, I think, is now the visibility. In that sense, we have to really invest on our publishing industry, and you know, make it high, big, and robust.
Me, I think we've done it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming back. I didn't know that. You know, we did a very good show last time. Very rich. I didn't know if we could lift the bar higher. I suspect this may have done so as well. Yes, and this conversation is going to be useful to writers, to academics. And so I hope everybody who's watching this has gleaned something from this, as I have. Whether you are a writer, whether you are a critic, an academic, anybody in this field. And you don't even have to be a writer or to be in literature to gain something from this conversation. you could be an artist, a painter, a rapper, anybody actually who deals with art and even communication, things that you're bringing to the market, to the audience, even content creators. I think there's something to be gleaned from that, because all these things that we create and consume are what create the cultural consciousness that we live in, which then leads to which we live in. And as we create more content, more books, more literature, and everything that is actually reflecting the ethos and everything of our society, of where we live in, this is actually what is going to actually even end up changing the society. Because as we do that, we become more conscious, and the readers become more conscious. So we have that virtuous effect of our consciousness influences the consciousness of our audience, and their consciousness actually becomes the consciousness of the entire society, which then influences us because we are in that society, which then leads to more consciousness and so on.
Yeah.
Which then, of course, entirely leads to even political consciousness.
Political consciousness.
Which, of course, then leads to even building the Kenya we want.
Yeah, revolution.
Yes.
Yeah. Intellectual revolution. Thank you.
Asante sana, Kwach.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was Kwach Abonyo. Another fantastic episode of Conversations in Literature. This was, I was your host, Eric Rugara. You may know me as Miyamoto Mswahili. Conversations in Literature is sponsored by Nairobi Academic Press. And if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, the Roaring Simba Network, don't forget to do so. Until next time.